We all do it. We throw stuff away every single day without even thinking about it. But what if I told you that hidden inside our trash cans, and especially our recycling bins, there's a really dangerous and fiery problem brewing? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this surprising crisis that's literally igniting within our waste systems. Right off the bat, listen to this quote: explosives. I mean, that's not a word you ever expect to hear when you're talking about taking out the recycling, right? But that is exactly how a fire engineer, Jim Emerson, describes what's happening. This one line just completely changes how you think about tossing out an old gadget. It's a huge warning sign that we're all handling something way more volatile than we realize. And this is what he means by explosives. You're looking at a lithium-ion battery in a state called thermal runaway. Think of it like a chemical chain reaction that just can't be stopped. These are the little power packs in our phones, our laptops, our vapes, and when they get crushed or punctured in the back of a garbage truck or at a sorting facility, well, this is what happens. Now, I want to be clear, this is not just a few freak accidents here and there. The scale of this problem is genuinely alarming, and honestly, the trend is heading in exactly the wrong direction. And you don't have to take my word for it. The data tells the story. Just look at these numbers from the US and Canada. Back in 2016, there were 272 reported fires in these facilities. Fast forward to 2022, and that number is up to 390. This isn't just a random spike, you guys. It's a clear, steady upward climb that proves our waste stream is becoming more flammable every single year. So what is it about these little batteries that makes them so incredibly dangerous? Let's get into the science of how these tiny power sources are turning into ticking time bombs. Okay, the key term here is thermal runaway. It's basically a domino effect inside the battery. When it gets damaged, just one cell overheats, and that heat triggers the cell next to it, and so on in a chain reaction. Temperatures can just skyrocket to over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And as that happens, the battery starts spewing out this nasty cocktail of flammable, toxic gases that can and often do just explode. And remember, waste facilities are full of compactors and shredders. It's a rough environment for a fragile battery. So just how much worse is it getting? Well, get this. The average number of fires per year has recently jumped by a staggering 18.5% compared to just a few years ago. I mean, that's not a slow creep. That's a massive acceleration of the risk. And where is that huge 18.5% jump coming from? Well, a major driver is something experts are calling the vape effect. Think about it. Disposable vapes, every single one with a little lithium-ion battery inside, are just flooding our waste streams. And the problem is, there are hardly any safe, convenient places to get rid of them. You can't just toss them in a regular battery bin. So millions end up right in the trash, basically becoming tiny, unpredictable fire starters. You see, a fire at a recycling plant isn't just a fire. It's not contained. The consequences create this huge ripple effect, touching everyone from the workers on the ground to the environment and the entire economy of how we manage our waste. And the first thing we have to talk about, the most important thing, is people's lives. We're talking about the frontline workers and the firefighters who have to run towards these things. They're not just dealing with flames. They're facing potential explosions and breathing in incredibly toxic fumes like carbon monoxide and hydrogen cyanide that pour out of these burning batteries. And then, of course, there's the environmental cost. All that water they have to use to fight these fires, and it's a massive amount. It turns into this toxic soup called firewater. It's full of chemicals and gross byproducts from the fire. And if that runoff gets out, it can seriously contaminate local rivers, streams, and our groundwater. And finally, the money. The economic fallout is just immense. These fires can destroy millions of dollars worth of equipment. Because the risk is so high now, insurance companies are literally running away from the industry. So for the facilities that can even get insured, their premiums have shot up by anywhere from 25% to over 75%. And guess who that cost eventually gets passed down to? Yup. Okay, so that's the problem. It's a big one. But here's the good news. The industry is fighting back with some truly incredible innovation. They're moving away from these old, outdated methods to a much, much smarter and safer way of doing things. For pretty much a century, the strategy was just brute force. Just dump tons and tons of water on a fire. But those old sprinkler systems, they were really only designed to contain a fire, not put it out. And they put firefighters in a ton of danger. The new approach? It's all about intelligence. It's about spotting heat before it even turns into a flame and hitting it with a targeted, super fast response that uses, get this, up to 92% less water. So how does a system like, say, Fire Rover actually work? It's pretty amazing. It starts with these military-grade thermal cameras that can literally see heat signatures you can't see with your own eyes. So they're detecting the potential for a fire. Then these cameras are monitored 24/7 by real, trained people who can tell the difference between just a hot engine and a battery that's about to go into thermal runaway. And when they confirm a real threat, they can remotely aim a nozzle and blast a cooling agent right at the source, putting it out in minutes, often before the fire department even has to show up. Look, that technology is a powerful, powerful tool. But the best way to fight a fire is to stop it from ever starting. And that requires a huge fundamental shift in how we think about waste and about who's responsible for it. And that brings us to this really important idea, extended producer responsibility, or EPR for short. So what is it? In the simplest terms, it means the company that makes a product and profits from it is also responsible for what happens to it when you're done with it. It shifts that financial and physical burden of recycling and disposal away from us, the taxpayers, and back onto the manufacturer. And you can probably guess what happens next. EPR policies create this incredibly powerful incentive for companies to change. I mean, when manufacturers suddenly have to pay for the recycling, they have a really good reason to start designing products that are easier to take apart, less toxic, and safer to handle. It pushes innovation right at the source. And this isn't just some theory. States like California, Oregon, and Maine are already putting these kinds of laws into action. So, in the end, while the technology is getting smarter and the policies are starting to change, this whole problem really comes back to us. What's in our trash cans is a direct reflection of our habits, our choices as consumers. This isn't just about some big, faceless industry. It's about that old phone you have sitting in a junk drawer, or that disposable vape you're not sure what to do with. So the real question is, what will it take to defuse these ticking time bombs in our own bins?